everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. You're listening to Level Up Nation Live, and I'm your host, Stacey Freer, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Dustin Pritchard. Hey, Dustin.
How you doing, Stacey?
I'm doing good.
Doing good. Sun shining.
Yeah.
Nice weather.
I know, it's amazing.
You know, remember.
I know.
Right.
I do recall this weather.
Yes.
So today on our hot seat, I'm really excited. We have a special guest. His name is Shawn Keeper. Hey, Shawn, how's it going?
Good to see you guys.
Yeah, great to see you too. So one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you, Shawn, is because you're kind of like a jack of all trades. When we talk to entrepreneurs and we talk about real estate on this podcast, you have significantly married the two. As a serial entrepreneur, and now you're getting your hands wet in the real estate market as an official agent. Let's unpack that. Let's talk a little bit about that. How the smell did you get started? Because you're not an old dude either. Like you're like, oh yeah, I got this business, that business, this business, blah, 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 this certification. How did you get started when you were 12? Like, talk to me, Shawn. What's going on?
Well, actually, I got started earlier than 12. So growing up Vancouver Island, I was basically given a hatchet and a hammer and said, go play in the wood lot next door. So like I remember starting off in, I don't even know how old I was, just building forts with my older brother and playing out in the woods. And that got me interested in carpentry. What I really mean by that is literally just, I love the smell of wood. I love the smell of alder. That's what I was chopping down at the time. My mother was a school teacher, and I just said when I was growing up, I wanted to be a carpenter. I wanted to work with wood. It's what I wanted to do. Wanted to build houses. And my mother was like, well, you know, at the time, she saw it as many of our parents did. Well, you want to be in a professional career. You don't want to be a carpenter. You want to be something like a site supervisor or an engineer. So obviously being a good boy to my mother, I went, okay, I'm going to go in the pursuit of being a professional. Now I wish, candidly, I had gone into the trades, but that's an aside. Got into civil engineering. And so my background is a civil engineer. So I went to the University of Waterloo. So I left Vancouver Island at 17 years old, went out to the University of Waterloo and started civil engineering. My year was the last year of the double cohort. So all my classmates got to go and drink right away while I got to be the youngin' that didn't get to go out, but stayed with me.
That was me. And that when I went to school too, it was exactly the same thing. Couldn't go drink.
Fair enough. Yeah. And then I honestly just wanted to be in big construction. So actually I did 5 of my 6 work terms with Waterloo at PCL. I got to work on some really cool projects as, let's call it a field engineer / assistant site supervisor. So I was at the new Terminal 1 at Pearson, and Pier F is what they call it, and the central processor. I was a field engineer at the new Four Seasons Opera House. Well, it's not so new anymore. I was there literally digging the hole that's 4 stories deep with electric battery-powered socks because it was so cold.
Anything cool when you dug that stuff up?
Didn't find cool stuff necessarily at the time. Got really, really wet as water main on University, not a result of us, burst and filled a good portion of the hole. So that's a lot of water. It wasn't us. Old water main under University, literally a wood pipe, but that was years and years ago. So I had some really great experience with PCL, loved it, took me out to Vancouver actually, and I was doing high rise. They offered me a full-time job, and I went, you know what? I really need to see, because I have this great opportunity with co-op to try something else, that I went, you know, for my very last one, before I accept your offer, I just want to try something different. So I applied to Mattamy Homes actually, and my last work term was with Mattamy. Absolutely amazing experience. Like I actually wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't have that experience. Loved the people that I worked with, loved the opportunities that I had, that actually while I was still a co-op student, they hired me full time. And as soon as I graduated, I was in their head office in Oakville doing land acquisitions, knew nothing of what that meant. I didn't even know what the term land development meant until I was actually already working for a developer. I thought I was just getting into home building. They moved me to Ottawa, and I helped out with some acquisitions there, and I was there for less than 30 days before they're like, wait a minute, you're originally from the West Coast. What do you think of Alberta? Well, I don't know. It's closer to home, I guess. And then little did I know I was on a plane and all my stuff was following behind on a truck. And I was going out to Alberta to be one of the original guys from Mattamy, Western Canada. So
Wow.
that's what got me into more actually the home building side. Long story short from there, in actually 10 years ago, last month, October 2010, I left Mattamy and I started Dunsire with my best friend. And no, I'm now on my own. But yeah, it's been 10 years of working on my own, pursuing land development and home building. So that's long-winded story of where I got to starting Dunsire.
That's kind of cool though. So Mike, I know a lot of people are going to be listening thinking, hey, that's a pretty sweet story, but how did you get started financially, like cap wise? Like that's not just something that you could be like, I think
I'll build a community today.
Yeah.
Actually, so great question. And actually one of those things that, man, I wish I had that answer when I actually left Mattamy and decided to start on my own. Because I'll be honest, I didn't understand. Like we call it in the industry a capital stack, an understanding about how much equity versus debt, what's good debt. So actually I started off in my first year trying to find clients that I could work with, trying to find sites, and literally spent every dollar to my name. And I was basically like, oh my God, if I don't find something soon, I'm going to have to go back to work for somebody else. And little did I know, I ended up with a really great opportunity to work on a site with a fellow engineer, the new what was the Labatt plant in Toronto at Islington and 401. Now it's a Lowe's. And so to answer your question, I didn't start with any capital. I got hired based on my experience to help out another developer. And then that actually led me into the train of, well, then somebody else caught on that I was working alongside someone else with the capital. So then I attracted more and more private equity, private investors, and that led me to my first community of 87 townhouses, Mill Creek Village in Kitchener. And then from there, because it was a good experience, we found the next opportunity and the next opportunity until now. Dunsire's done 10 communities altogether, where I've been raising private equity in the background. Some of the sites I've now been able, because of past projects, to have done on my own. However, I'm a believer in not spreading myself too thin. So I've brought in partners that have moved with me from site to site and other partners that I've gained along the way.
Very cool. Yeah. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, like a build it and they will come story. You risk everything, right? And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs do is they save up their pennies and they have a bright idea and they go to work and they build the plane while they're flying it, right?
Yep.
In a lot of cases. Well, that's fantastic. That's amazing. And you know what? I was looking up the communities that you're building, and something that it really resonates with me, because one of the things that I definitely want to do is build completely sustainable renovations. Off the grid, self-sufficient, be able to grow your own food, all that kind of stuff. So you're basically able to operate off, without any infrastructure or societal infrastructure. And I notice that you're very similar as far as your sustainable communities and your net zero. Can you tell us a little bit more about why did you want to build sustainable communities and what net zero actually is?
Sure. So why? One of my best friends actually called me a very mean name, and still one of my great friends, was a groomsman at my wedding, called me a very mean name being a developer. Developers usually get a lot of bad rap. It's traditionally, let's go with the phrase, people think that we clear it, cut it, burn it, pave it, those type of expressions. And that I don't really believe in. And when I sat back and I was thinking about what he called me, and I'm not going to repeat that on a live chat because he's probably a little embarrassed at the time. But yeah, it made me sit back and go, you know what? How are people doing this? How are they building houses? How are they making it sustainable? you know, I don't have kids at the moment, but I do want them. And I was just thinking, you know, in construction, you can truly leave your fingerprint on the world. One of my great mentors, Michael Malley at PCL, who was the head construction manager for Terminal 1, he always looked at it as, or was sharing with me that, you know, he got to leave something to his grandchildren and his great-great-grandchildren that they'd always see, this is something that I was a part of in building. And I went, you know, that's so true about construction. We can leave such great legacy. And I went, you know, a lot of people build great homes. I don't deny it. But if I wanted to leave a sustainable impact, how can I do something different? I went, you know what? I heard of this net zero concept. I want to learn more about it and I want to build it. And I made a declaration literally at the time. The next house I build is going to be a net zero home, hell or high water. So I joined the Net Zero Council of Canada. So I'm a member of the CHBA, my apologies, Net Zero Council of Canada, with many of the other builders that have joined on to doing net zero. You can actually see all the great builders that have started to participate. And at least as of right now, Dunsire's the 6th largest net zero builder in the country. We've built 12 homes. It's coming. It's moving. It's making a trend now in the marketplace. And yeah, so I got Mount Pleasant Preserve up in Caledon, and it's an acreage, an equestrian park that I decided that's it. That's net zero, and these are these homes. So what does it mean to be net zero? CHBA has a definition that it's the homes will produce as much energy as they will consume on an annualized basis. So in Canada, it's very difficult to say you're always off the grid because you have your high points and low points with such seasonal changes. But the idea is on an annualized basis, your home will produce as much energy as it consumes. Now, to be clear, because I don't want to say, because I haven't done it, I actually haven't gone full net zero, which is that. I've done net zero ready, which means the home is completely ready to do that. It's just missing its sustainable energy component like geothermal or solar or wind turbine, something like that.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, that's actually pretty badass. I love that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's a passion project of mine. I've got this little stone cottage on the lake, and I want to be completely off the grid, growing our own food, you know, having our own power, and not have to worry about, you know, anything that's happening in the economy and all that kind of stuff. And and I think a lot of people are starting to think that way, right? Because especially after the pandemic and everything else. And have you noticed that there's an uptick in interest in those kinds of developments?
I have throughout this current pandemic that we're in, which is completely unprecedented, and none of us knew what would happen with market. None of us still do. I wish I had that crystal ball. But when I first started in net zero, I'll be quite honest. Nice to have for most of our home buyers, wouldn't necessarily pay anything different for it. Not that I want to upgrade to full net zero. I understand and I appreciate the impacts and what it could mean, but I'm not necessarily going to pay for an upgrade to do that. So what I decided to do is, okay, you're not going to pay me as an upgrade. It's just standard. Net zero ready is our standard. So if you bought our house, you automatically bought net zero ready. That's how I found it had to be with regards to our Mount Pleasant community. What I'm recognizing, and if you were to go to CHBA's net zero page and see the other builders, I mean, the number one builder has built almost 200 net zero homes. And so you can see the trend is starting to go that route. People are seeing this difference. To your point, getting off the grid with gas prices and electrical prices going in different directions, usually up, is they're wanting to make their monthly bills more stable. So you can really do that with net zero. You ultimately get a way more comfortable, way more healthy home. It's not just about the energy consumption. It's about your air exchange. It's about the comfort of the home and how easy it is to heat versus cool. So there's so many benefits coming out of net zero. And a lot of people, after living the condo lifestyle, nothing against that, that's definitely for some, but they're seeing, you know, if they want to leave the condo and go to a single detached and they can make it where it's much more environmentally friendly, much more comfortable, they're for it.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, I'm going to ask a super silly, superficial question. How many street names have you named after yourself, your dogs, or your wife?
Ooh, unique question. And have I purposely named streets? I have. Have I named anything after myself or my immediate family? No. I'm not going to say who I was with when we used to play a fun game in the land department, where if you were driving down a collector road and all of the residential roads might say interesting messages where it's something, something, something as you drive down the street. I will leave it at that. It's some very unique and fun sayings, but we used to have great fun with that in the land department.
I love it.
That's hilarious. So we got to put together a treasure hunt now. We got to figure we got to figure out what those sayings are.
Yeah.
Where do we start on the collectors? That's pretty funny.
Just come in off of a regional road, and when you hit that main collector and you drive through, just pay attention to what the signs say in succession as you go street by street. Some pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, Stacey, don't ever do that. You can't, we'll get arrested if you are ever in charge of naming streets, man.
Come on.
Shawn, can I ask you a question? I'm really interested in the economics of the net zero process. And when you're comparing your net zero your net ready communities compared to, the regular builds that are out there, is there a economical difference? Is there, do people pay more for those kinds of homes to be net ready as opposed to, people that haven't built that into their builds?
So two different aspects there. Is there a cost to building net zero ready and net zero? Yes, there is. There is a premium, and that premium is coming down every day. It's to use a simple example of PV, it's exponentially gotten cheaper year over year as the technology is improved. You are doing generally higher insulation, you're insulating foundation, your home is a lot airtighter. So a lot of these things do have an added cost. Now, speaking to it as premium, it's based on the square footage of your home. So mine is an example where 4,000 square feet plus. So this year, CHB recognized that we built the single largest net zero home in the country this year. So with that being said, I'll be honest, the net zero ready was about a $40,000 premium on our cost side of things for net zero ready. So that's excluding the energy source to go to net zero ready. Now, you asked me, is somebody willing to pay for that? So that was one of my earlier comments of, we're not seeing right now that somebody's going to say, hey, I want to pay for that upgrade. So it was something that I elected with that community. It was part of my base price. And I actually had to price myself competitively with my neighbors that were non-net zero. But what that was great for me is, well, take your pick. Same price point, similar size house, net zero ready, non-net zero ready. And so we sold relatively quickly. I was really happy with it. So,
oh, most definitely. I would be more than willing to pay a premium, but the fact that you rolled it into your margins, that's a brilliant maneuver because it's really a differentiator compared to most of the other builds out there.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think it's really awesome that you were able to kind of snowball into this project. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about Lights, Camera, Imagine? What's that all about?
Oh, that's a passion project. So long story, and I will keep it brief. My mother passed away when I was 13. So she was a big influence in me wanting to get into construction and why I became a civil engineer. Her name, Allison Dunsire Keeper. So I named the company after her. What I've really learned through becoming a builder and seeing success in different projects is it's really about what you can do from a contribution, whether that be pursuing net zero or honestly creating a passion project like Lights, Camera, Imagine. So I was challenged with a self-expression leadership program, which is what I was in. It was a course that I was doing where I needed to try to find something, and it was meant to be a one-time project. So I went and I decided to create this little event called Lights, Camera, Imagine. I personally bought 33 tickets to Disney's The Lion King at Mirvish Productions. Mirvish was great. They did give me a discount on 33 tickets. And I said to Sick Kids Hospital, hey, The tickets are yours. Let's go. And in doing that, a whole bunch of red tape, because it's not just as easy as doing that. And I was like, okay, I'm determined. I want to figure this out. So long story short, making it completely protected for the kids and making sure that they're safe and making sure that they have the right support staff from sick kids to be there. Additionally, reaching out to Mirvish and Disney, getting them private seats, getting them a private room to interact with the characters, giving them gift baskets. All of this transpired just at this event. That I was like, you know what? This was so cool. I had so much fun doing it that immediately after I decided, hey, I'm going to get registered as a national charity. Apparently, I was really good at paperwork. So a month later, I was registered national charity, and I started doing events year over year. And so, yeah, I've done quite a few events now for sick kids. I built a stage at Toronto Sick Kids, hired the National Ballet of Canada. They did a live performance. We've gone back to Lion King. We've seen Disney's Aladdin. We've done a lot of really cool stuff. And with just honestly, it's a passion project. My name isn't associated with it. It's in memory of Alison Dunsire Keeper. She was in love with the performing and visual arts. So yeah, that's where it is. And every year we try to give back by doing events for the kids.
That's beautiful.
That's amazing.
It really is.
Absolutely.
Contribution to the community is obviously something that's incredibly important to you as a human being, not just as an entrepreneur. That's it's wonderful how you've been able to weave those pieces, those elements of your personality and into your different businesses. But that's a charity. But you also have you've got another business on the go, don't you?
So yes, now he's got another evolution of the Keeper name, which is really funny because now he's stepping on our turf, Dustin.
Hey,
I know. The big guy's coming to play
back
with
off, buddy.
Yeah. So you want to tell us a little bit about that? Why did you? Because you got your mortgage license. You just keep getting. Do you just love school? Is that this what's happening? Or?
Here's the single best investment that I know anyone to be able to make. It is in their people and in themselves. You don't have your health. How can you be good to your family, your friends, your business? So you got to start with yourself and the development of yourself. I am an active learner. So what did I do? I was looking at this for years. You guys are both licensed agents. You know that it takes a few years to go through. I'll be honest. I was looking at it. I've been doing new home sales since I was with Mattamy, and then 10 years on my own, where it's been like, okay, I interact with an awful lot of agents. I see what they go through. I see there's an awful lot of opportunity also in the resale market. And it's a little bit of diversification. Let's call it what it is. And when I got my real estate agent license, and then I went, you know what? I'm a businessman. I think this is a really cool opportunity to open a brokerage. Why not? It's diversification. It's other forms of income. I understand real estate. I can do new homes and I can do resale, depending on where the market's going. So I started doing that, and I'm not a licensed broker yet. I actually am supposed to write my exam in December. But when I'm doing the electives, and then I come across, I'm supposed to do a mortgage course. Well, it was my choice. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why am I going to do a course that's not going to get me licensed? So why don't I just do the Canadian Mortgage Professionals course? It gets credited, and then I get to be a mortgage agent. So I just did that out of like, hey, this makes sense. So I spent a week. I did the course. I passed the exam, and I called up some buddies because I know plenty of mortgage agents, being a new home builder, that they're like, yeah, I'll license you. You can join under our brokerage. Yeah. So it just became a fun thing. And I'll be honest, not many people like this word necessarily. I think it's a great word. I've got my primary business. That's Dunsire. I love building houses is what I do. But you know what? Not that I don't love my family time. And if Samantha listens to this, I do love my family time, evenings and weekends. But I wanted to do something on the side. This isn't meant to be like I'm going to work 9 to 5 doing mortgages and doing resale. But you know what? I haven't advertised one iota, and people keep referring them to me. And I think there's a little bit of a difference here, and it's where I'm trying to launch what's called Keeper Real Estate. I decided to use my father's last name versus my mother's middle name of Keeper Real Estate. And what I just simply wanted to do is, it's not something where I'm planning to grow 100 employees or anything like that. It's you know, I'm hoping for no more than 6 clients a month of, I understand what you're going through, the importance of your mortgage and how it interacts with your sale or your purchase of your home, and making sure that everything jives. Man, when the mortgage agent and the realtor and the builder don't talk about headaches. So, or potentially loss of a deal. So let's make sure that they got A to Z in one spot. So I decided, you know, I'd love to also interact with people that aren't even my clients, meaning from a home building side of, hey, you're going to go buy from some other great builder. I want to see their build process. How does their homeowner journey go? And now I can be right in line with a first-time home buyer that, hey, I mean, I'm doing a self-plug here. What's better than a new home builder with a mortgage agent, with a real estate agent that's also a professional engineer in Alberta, Ontario, and I'm working on Jamaica. So, I mean, I think I've got a lot of credential there and experience that I can offer somebody a pretty unique experience.
I would love to see how long your resume is. Like, how many pages do you actually have on that?
Hey, check out his website. It's right there.
Right.
Check out LinkedIn. That's where I updated it. I stopped updating my resume a little while ago, but I've fallen in love with LinkedIn. I find it, I am on there more than I am Facebook, because I love connecting with people in our industry. I follow a ton of them, because one thing I love doing is, why reinvent the wheel when you can really learn from people that have mastered it, that have tried it, and then rinse and repeat. That was why my prior employment was such an amazing experience. They mastered it. Look at how big they are in North America. Why try and do something different versus make fine-tunements, make it that it's my own, but rinse and repeat models that do work.
Yeah. Learn from the best and rinse and repeat. I love it. I call it R&D. It's not research and duplicate. It's rip off and duplicate.
Nice.
It's really interesting, because a lot of serial entrepreneurs, and when we say serial entrepreneurs, we're talking about people that just can't get enough of being in business for themselves and delivering value to their customer. And there's always opportunity to provide more value, and seeing how you've started off with one business and being able to essentially wrap a nice warm blanket around your consumer that comes into your space. It's a wonderful thing to see. And you've obviously made it work very, very well. Your clients are very lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. I mean, there's always room for improvement.
Always.
Sorry.
No. I just wanted to jump in. If anyone's actually listening to this live, we are recording it live. So if you guys have any questions or comments for Shawn, and you want to ask him, you know, how do you get started, or for any advice, please hit us up in the comments below. Or once this has aired, please also feel free to hit us up in the comments below. Because I know Shawn's he's pretty good at getting back to people. So despite all of his many webs of development. I also wanted to ask you, what was it like developing in Jamaica? Because I know there's a lot of us here who are thinking, you know, it'd be kind of cool, like, to skip over to like Costa Rica or somewhere else warm. So
yeah,
tell us about that. What was that like?
So, well, one, always wanted to be down there in some fashion. Like Sam and I got married in the BVIs, love the Caribbean. We try to go back down there at some point every year, whether it be one of the islands or not. So what it was I actually have a partner here in Canada that I've done multiple communities with, and he had a particular flair that he was comfortable with regards to Caribbean investing. So he had invested in a builder in Jamaica and needed some support, candidly. So ironic story, I was at a Tony Robbins event in Las Vegas, and I got a phone call saying, hey, I need you to meet me in Jamaica. I've never been to Jamaica, and why? Don't worry about it. I'll tell you when you get there. Okay. So he changes my flights from going from Las Vegas back to Toronto. And all of a sudden I end up going down to Jamaica for the very first time, driving out to St. Mary is just outside of Ocho Rios, and the parish of St. Mary, I should say. And I go to a construction site and I'm like, great, I'm on a huge construction site. What am I doing here? Hey, I'd love for you to help me out with sales and marketing and help me out in launching this project. I'm like, you crazy? No. Anyways, long story short, reminded me as my partner here, really wanted the support and help. So I'm like, you know what? All right, let's figure out how to do this. So the team, I asked them here, guys, do you want to take this on? This is not a one-man show. This is going to require our entire organization to be a part of. And so the team backed it, said, yeah, let's do this. Let's figure out how to be an international builder. Cool. Yeah. So we took it on from a sales and marketing perspective, and then dived a little deeper where it honestly, to the expression, provide your clients value. Our value went from offering sales and marketing to let's just end where we did. Now I'm owner's representative. I'm in charge of the entire operation in Jamaica, and making sure that it's executed and delivered to the best value to the homeowners, to the best value to the owner, my client, and making sure that everything is done in the best possible way. And so that's just led into evolving and developing down into Jamaica. And I hope that it continues to expand. I've managed to form some really amazing relationships down there that I'd like to pursue and see how Dunsire can continue to grow in Jamaica, and one day, hopefully, other islands. There is something I have learned in being a serial entrepreneur. Don't dive too quickly into thing after thing after thing. I have had businesses that I've closed because I've recognized, woof, that costs some money, and it's actually, fail quickly, fail quietly, move on to the next thing. Persistent is the key. Keep going. You'll make mistakes, but just keep going. Just don't do too many things all at once. It can be a little daunting, and a good artist focuses and does one thing really, really well. And when you set it up that it no longer needs you, and that's a great entrepreneur, is when you set up a team and an infrastructure that doesn't need you to run it day to day, so that then you can focus on the next thing and focus on the next thing.
That's awesome.
Amen, brother. That's really, really good advice for entrepreneurs. Yeah, just don't be afraid to try, but don't spread yourself too thin at the same time. It's a careful balance.
Yeah, but never be afraid to try. If you don't take that first step, and I know it's very different from an age. Like, see, when I left Mattamy and I decided to start Dunsire, so that was, again, 10 years ago. So I was 26. And it was, you know what? I'm young enough. I can lose it all, and I got plenty of time to make it back again. And I totally appreciate now that I'm 36 and, got a house, and I've got much more, let's call it, obligations that I got to protect. But you know what? The one thing I've learned is regret is so much worse than any financial thing that can happen. And if you don't leap and take the shot at going for it, it's the one thing you can come back of, like, I never did it, and I never wanted that experience. So I just keep jumping into it and going like, let's do it. Let's try it.
Yes, Dan.
Like Branson said, say yes and figure it out.
I love that theory. I've actually said that multiple times. I think as an entrepreneur, you just kind of know in your gut if it's going to work out or not. And if you have the tools, the resources, the people behind you, you can figure it out. But you do need to jump on things sometimes, because timing is literally everything when it comes to business.
Well,
and speaking of timing,
you can't turn it back. The only opportunity that you have is right now, right? And if you're not decisive and you don't take a hold of an opportunity when you see it, sometimes it's not there next day, and you can't turn back time, right? You just can't. That's the only thing that you don't have.
No, I think Cher has a song about it.
Most valuable commodity is, or not even commodity, most valuable thing to anyone is time. It's finite. You can't get more of it, so you may as well enjoy it while you're here.
Yeah, money replenishes, time doesn't.
Yeah, I used to do a joke in one of my former past lives.
Former past life?
In one of my former past lives as a stand-up comedian, I used to do a joke about how time is like a drug, and people are always like, "Yeah, man, I don't got the time." And be like, "Do you have some time?"
Did you get some time?
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, man, I had a sweet time. I could go on for days.
Yeah, you could.
I could, but without further ado, Dustin, I think it's that time.
It is. You know what? Thank you, Shawn. Like, there's so much that people can learn from the nuggets of gold that you've just dropped on this podcast. I was actually taking some notes because serial entrepreneurs, we have a fire that burns inside of us that makes us want to try and makes us want to go out there and build and create. It's almost like being a songwriter or painter. Like, it is an art, and it's. The one thing that you said, because I was writing it down because I was going to say it, but you said legacy, and that's really, really important to all of us because there's, I'm sure you've heard the saying, people overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can achieve in 3. But imagine what you can achieve in a lifetime. Imagine what you can achieve with a perspective of being able to hand off something significant to your progeny, and if you have that generational kind of mindset, it really, really changes your perspective on how you operate day to day. You operate with integrity, with honor. Your name is attached to it. Your kids are going to be adopting and inheriting everything that you build. And you know what? I love that. And you can see that you do this in all of your business and that you have this mindset, this energy that it's all about being sustainable. It's all about community. It's all about making an impact and having a strong contribution. So those of you who are entrepreneurs, like, man, you can make an incredible difference in this on this planet, in this world, if you open your mind a little bit more to past the I've got to pay the bills, or I got to do this, or I want to achieve this one goal this year, and you start opening your perspective to something that's much, much bigger than yourself. It's it can be incredibly powerful. And you know what, Shawn, you've proven it. 36 years old, and you got multiple businesses, and you're really making a serious impact on our industry and in our communities. And I just wanted to thank you for being part of our show.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I hope we were gentle since it was your first time.
Oh, you were. I know good.
That's okay. We'll go hard on you next time.
Yeah, next time, definitely.
Yeah, we'll beat you up next time.
Hit those pack punch questions. Well, to all of you guys who were watching or listening, thank you so much for tuning in to Level Up Nation with myself, your host, Stacey Preer, Dustin Pritchard, and our very special guest, Shawn Keeper. Guys, if you want to check out more episodes, please feel free to hit us up at
levelupnationlive.com.
One more time,
levelupnationlive.com. You can go to our Facebook page as well. Check out our past episodes. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on all your favorite streaming devices and platforms. We're there.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, guys, so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again.
All right. Ciao for now.